the founding now of that first Old Cornwall Society, and so Margaret's going to come and speak to us. Margaret.
The Victory Carol, which we have just sung, was composed, as William said, by Colan Williams and first sung in 1919 after the First World War armistice in a humble country chapel, Hellersveer. And we continue to sing it now, over 100 years later, in a city cathedral. St Ives Old Cornwall Society, formed in 1920, was very fortunate to have been able to celebrate its centenary in 2020 before the lockdown. How did the Old Cornwall Society come about? According to the first written report of January the 21st, 1920, in the St Ives Old Cornwall Minute Book, it states, Mr. Jenner, followed by Mr. Nance, explained at length the aims and object of the society, and after discussion it was decided to form a society and that it be called the St Ives Old Cornwall Society. The following letter, dated January the 30th, 1920, from Robert Morton Nance, appeared in the St Ives Times, advertising a public meeting on Wednesday, February the 11th at 8 p.m. outlining the aims of the proposed meeting, St Ives Old Cornwall Society. To the editor of the St Ives Times, Sir, no corner of our country is richer in such old associations than Cornwall, and of Cornwall no corner has a better selection of them than St Ives. We have buildings, even in the fort on the island, not the battery, and the so-called Pick's House at Ayr, that date back not hundreds but perhaps thousands of years, and we have words still in use that are Celtic and almost as old, to say nothing of our tales and traditions. Learned societies have done very much in pointing out and explaining these things, but unfortunately this has often been done in such a way as to smother up most interesting things in dullness, or what seems dullness to the ordinary person. Many people, too, who know best about our later traditions have been shy of telling what they know for lack of ability to use such learned wrappings for their facts. In the result, very little of this old-time knowledge has been handed on to the young people who have the best right to it. It has seemed to a few of us who are enthusiasts for things of Old Cornwall that St Ives Old Cornwall Society, not a learned society, but one the work of which would be to collect and talk over the old things before they are lost, and to hand them on to the younger folk for preservation, would appeal to all sections of St Ives people. If, as a result of the meeting announced elsewhere in your columns, such a society is successfully launched, meetings of all kind, with summer excursions, etc., would provide something for one and all. Yours, R. Morton Nance, Chylasson, Carbis Bay. Hence the motto, gather ye the fragments that are left, that nothing be lost. In a report of the February the 11th meeting in the St Ives Times, dated February the 13th, 1920, headed St Ives Old Cornwall Society, we read the following. If the newly formed St Ives Old Cornwall Society does not go ahead and prosper, it will certainly not be the fault of Mr Jenner, who has not only given the society a good send-off, but has also kindly promised to do all he can to assist in making it successful. Mr R. Morton Nance's enthusiasm for collecting and preserving things historical is well known, and he presented quite an ambitious programme for the future work of the Society. We hope his earnest and zealous efforts in this direction will meet with success it deserves. There was a favourable reported comment of that meeting in the same issue. The old order changeth and giveth place to new, and the rapidity with which change succeeds change in modern St Ives seems as though the law of averages has compelled the town to make amends for its centuries of what might be deemed stagnation by feverish and undue haste for so-called improvement. In some parts, considerable alterations have been effected and deprived of much of its characteristic features and charming peculiarities. And before the present generation has passed, Old St Ives will have become as much a matter of tradition as Old London. We were therefore pleased to hear Mr. R. Morton Nance refer to this important matter at the St Ives Old Cornwall Society meeting on Wednesday. Mr. Nance is a descendant of one of the original St Ives families, and he naturally takes a great interest in the place. It seems a pity that with all the aids to memory that we possess in the camera and the art products of the St Ives School, there should not be a systematic record of the distinctive features of the old town for the benefit of future generations, and it would be a good thing if the new society took this matter in hand. Doubtless there are many old prints, paintings, engravings and photographs which might be discovered and preserved. In a few years, it will perhaps be impossible to form such a collection, and regrets for the omission will be vain. Old literary reminiscences and the like should also be looked up. All these would become very valuable in a reproduction in literature and art of the most striking characteristics of St Ives. And I'm sure you agree with me, this could be applied to the whole of our county. Robert Morton Nance said in 1936, we must go out to the villages and commence other societies to let our young learn of Cornwall. In a report of an annual meeting of St Ives Old Cornwall Society held on the 2nd of April in 1941, Mr. Nance gave a talk on the work of the society since its commencement. The idea of a society originated in a collection of dialect words. Mr. Jenner being present, Mrs. James suggested the formation of a society. A public meeting was called, the name Old Cornwall Society decided upon. This proved successful and the movement grew and spread to other parts of the county. Now about 22 societies, looking backward over the 21 years of the life of Old Cornwall movement, the St Ives Old Cornwall Society had an interesting hour on Tuesday evening. The coming of age could not be celebrated as it would have been owing to war conditions, but it is hoped that some future date a special recognition of the event will be made. From the time of its inception, which originated in a very informal gathering, much valuable work has been done and is being carried out by its enthusiastic members. So, St Ives Old Cornwall Society was formed by a small group of friends. At present, there are 41 societies with over 1,900 members throughout the county. Now, a federation flourishes from that humble beginning. Just like the Old Cornwall movement, the Cornish carols have continued, and we have endeavoured to preserve them to be sung by future generations. The connection continues, as we are fortunate to have Katrina as our accompanist, and her father was St Ives Old Cornwall Society president for many years. Whether sung in humble country chapels, city cathedrals, around towns and villages in Cornwall and all over the world, down through the years, these carols have conveyed entirely from the scriptures the message of Christmas, a message that we continue to share in that God sent his Son, born in a humble stable to be the Saviour of sinners who he came to save. We have a gospel to tell, and what better way than through singing these carols.